There is yet another story today reacting to what's going to be the Quebec Constitution Bill 1, and it comes from the English Montreal School Board and Joe Ortona, who is, of course, the chair of the EMSB. He is on the line. Joe, thank you for your time this afternoon. I guess I should begin by simply saying I'm almost not surprised to find out what is in this bill and your reaction to it with respect to what it's going to do for English Montreal school boards, considering that, you've already fought the fight, won the case, get to control your own boards. This seems to me, from what I read, like a backhanded effort by the government to basically tell you, we don't care what the court said, we're going to take this over once this Constitution passes. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's certainly a good summary of what the government is trying to do. We've had to take them to court because they just want to take over the entire education network, including the English public education network, and they keep losing in the courts, and so their answer to this is not to play by the rules, and by rules I mean the constitutional framework, respecting Section 23. Their response is, well, let's make it actually harder for these guys to fight back. So it's an attempt to overtake our system.
So the idea here is this would basically, beyond just that, them taking over the system, this would effectively block boards from even defending your rights in court, right? The way it's laid out now?
Yeah, well, they say it doesn't, but they say the school boards can't use public money to fight the unconstitutional laws. But I mean, that's where the school boards get their funding from. It comes from money from the government of Quebec. If we have to rely on other sources of revenue for that, of course, it's going to make it that much more difficult. But this could all be resolved very easily if they just decided to say, okay, let's sit down at the table and let's negotiate here. Where can we meet halfway? Where exactly do the rights under Section 23 end, and where do they begin, rather than just saying, this is our way and we don't care what the courts say.
But to be honest, when has that ever been the case with this government? For every time we have ever spoken about something the provincial government wanted to do, you're always the one, and I remember this coming up over and over again, saying there's never been consultation.
No, this government actually has a horrendous record on consultation with its people. They have a vision. They don't care what people think. They want to bulldoze it through. It's what they did with Bill 91. It's what they did with Bill 96. It's what and when they do propose amendments, they actually make the bill worse. And so this is a government that just doesn't listen. They should have been consulting before even drafting a constitution, not after, because we know nothing is really going to fundamentally change between now and when it's passed.
Well, maybe we should be more, hopeful. I mean, they backed down to some degree on Bill 2 with the doctors when they said they wouldn't change that. There are enough people, I think, coming forward over the next, number of weeks or months to talk about this Constitution. I'm getting the sense you're not hopeful that anything would change, but there is that possibility.
Well, see, the thing is that when there is a backlash that comes from, Quebec society as a whole, the government tends to sort of backtrack, somewhat and make some concessions, like they did with the budget cuts in education. But when the backlash is coming from the English-speaking community, I think that actually fuels them to continue to carry on because it actually plays to their base. Their base does not see the English-speaking community in Quebec as a partner. They see the English-speaking community as a nuisance and really as the people that are responsible for the decline of French that they see all over the province. And so the government really doesn't have any political reason. I mean, they have a moral reason, but they don't have a political reason why they would want to backtrack on this unconstitutional bill.
So I would ask, if you look at it the way it stands right now, as it's written, right, what does this, or what would this mean once it becomes law for school boards, for English Montreal school boards?
Well, there's two aspects. So one is what the law actually says, and then it's how they're gonna implement it. So administratively. So one, there's a specific section in this bill, Section 5, that says school boards cannot, or any public institutions that get taxpayer money, cannot use that money to challenge Quebec laws that they have identified as being, as being necessary for the protection or preservation of Quebec's values, and they've identified those laws: Bill 21, Bill 96, Bill 94, and of course this Bill 1, if it were to come to pass. So what that means is we essentially wouldn't be able to fight when the government infringes on our constitutional rights under Section 23 of management and control of school boards. Administratively, what it means is that they're going to continue to try, and they've been doing this, since before Bill 1. They're going to continue to try to bulldoze their ideas and their philosophy through, which is, school boards, they really should exist in name only because of the courts. We don't want them to exist. We want them to be service centers. We want them to be extensions of the Ministry of Education. And essentially, we want to just be able to tell them what to do. And that's been an ongoing struggle that we've had with this government since 2018. And this bill would make it just that much easier for them to get away with that.
So for the battle and that you fought and won with respect to keeping control of English Montreal school boards with the boards, would that simply just be wiped off the board despite the court decision if and when this becomes law?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if the government tried to attempt to do that at this point. I mean, we can expect anything from them. Essentially, what they're going to try to do is they're going to say that they respect Section 23, which is what they always say, but then they're going to try to impose their vision anyway, and they're going to try to, use whatever tactics they can to get the school boards to comply. And if we can't fight back, and if we can't defend ourselves from this government overreach, well, then essentially, school boards will become service centers. If we're unable to defend our autonomy and our right to manage and control our school system, then we are no different from the French network right now. So it's really important that when the government oversteps and violates our constitutional rights, that we have a recourse in the courts to be able to counterbalance that overreach from the government.
I would ask this just again so people understand. If I understand that this particular constitution, the provisions in here for defending yourself, if we can call it that, which you would take from a budget, from money that you already have. The implication here is, Joe, if I understand it correctly, they would prevent you from doing that. It's not like you'd have to reach out to someone privately. It's already, you spent over $1 million, right, so far. Someone would have to come to you and say, well, here, I'm going to give you this money because I support your cause. You couldn't do it internally from your own funds. Is that accurate?
Right. So, we'd have to go and collect donations, or we'd have to get some very wealthy person who would be willing to fund that. I mean, good luck trying to do that. It would take an immense organization to try to get any of that through. But the point is, I guess, they seem to have a problem. Not that we're spending the money. Their problem really is that we're winning. And that is what irks them. That's what bothers them. It's the fact that we're winning, because they are spending taxpayer money to appeal our wins in the higher courts and try to get them overturned. And they keep doing so unsuccessfully, but they don't stop. So they don't have a problem with public monies being used for court challenges. They have a problem with losing, and they have a problem with being told that they're wrong. And so they're just trying to make it harder for us to get there.
We will leave it at that. Joe, I appreciate, and I guess the message to everyone listening who's concerned is be aware of what is in here. Talk to your local MNA and let them know, because maybe something can get done before it's too late. Joe Ortona,
Absolutely. Chair
of the MSB. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate the time as always.
Always a pleasure.
Seasoned gamer or just video game curious? This Week in Gaming is the podcast for you. We break down the latest in the world of video games, from basics to beyond. The hottest gaming news, insight, and industry leaders and more, weekly. Join me, Naomi Kyle, and stay ahead of the game with all the latest updates, even if you're a total newbie. Stream This Week in Gaming on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.